Hello guys, welcome to Target Tech Solution. Now if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the notification bell for more content from us.
Hello class, I believe we are all doing well. So we'll continue with our lectures today, and we are looking at African popular culture and festivals for today. As usual, I'll load this video. You go through it, note down your questions, your suggestions, and then discussions, and when we meet, we'll pick them up. So on the first slide, we want to look at the definition and classifications of African festivals. And first of all, to begin with, we want to establish that as Africans, our culture is characterized by social gatherings, and these gatherings are usually of large groups of people, and not just large groups of people coming together, but these people are usually people who are involved or linked in one way or the other. So at our funerals, you realize that until COVID came, traditionally, African funerals, and Ghana for that matter, our funerals are usually of very large crowds. And the large gathering are not people who just come because they have heard that there is a funeral going on. But to a large extent, they are linked or connected to whoever the funeral is about in one way or the other. So someone may die, and in attendance to the funeral, the person who is dead, his children are going to be there, friends of his children are going to be there. If any of the children are married, their spouses are coming, relatives of their spouses are coming, friends of their spouses are coming. And remember, the dead person also has siblings, so his or her siblings are coming, the friends of their siblings are coming, the spouses of their siblings, including their families and friends as well, the friends of the dead person's spouse, that is either the widow or the widower, their friends, their relatives, church members, work colleagues, So by the time you take count of a funeral, you have almost 1,000 people, and each of these people are linked to the dead person in one way or the other. So you may meet someone at a funeral. Hey, Asumesi, why are you here? Oh, the dead person is my sister's friend's daughter's cousin, a long relation, but they are linked. If you look at our weddings, if you don't say that your wedding is strictly by invitation, your audience is going to be as large as your mother's friends, colleagues at work. A whole large group of people will be at the ceremony. Sometimes the person whom the ceremony is about may not even know half of the people there, but the people there are there because they are linked to someone who is connected to the person whom the ceremony is about. So that is how come in Africa, our gatherings are usually of large groups of people. Okay. So a major African culture that facilitates such large interconnected social gatherings are festivals. So some of the celebrations in Africa that calls for a large group of people are funerals. We have chieftaincy installations. We can talk about naming ceremonies. We can talk about weddings. We can talk about birthday parties, whatever. But we are saying that festivals are also one of the occasions that call very large groups of people together. And for this lecture, we are going to talk about festivals. So we continue by saying that festivals consolidate social groups from very small groups to large groups. So festivals bring smaller groups together, and these small groups come together and form a large group. So we have families. So okay, let's say in a particular town, in a town called Abase. There are groups of families. There are about 10 families in the town that make up Abase. During a festival, each of these families are coming together. The families come together to form societies. The societies come together to form towns, and the towns come together to form cities or even countries. So if you look at the Ashanti, for instance, Odria, I'm looking for a typical festival. Okay, let's say Odra. Odra is at Akuapem. If you look at the Akuapem land, Odra is a typical festival of Akuapem land. Now, before Odra comes about, we have individual family members who reside or come from various towns in the Akuapem land. So we have families. These families come together to form a society or a community. These communities come together to form towns. So we have Ebri, we have I think there is Ebri, there is a Kropong, there is those towns up the hill. Those of you who come from there. I'm sure you can mention some of them to us. So we have these towns that come together. We have even Koforidua. So they all come together to form one large town. And it is these large towns made up of families and communities that come together to celebrate the Odra festival. So what we are saying is that during festivals, these families, smaller families made up of who come together to make communities, who also come together to make towns or villages, are those that come together as a consolidated group of people to perform the Odra festival. If you come to country-wise, if we have 6th March, for instance, Independence Day celebration on 6th March, it is particular for Ghanaians. It's a celebration typically for Ghana. Now, when this celebration comes about, it is made up of smaller, of course, families that come together to make communities. And these communities come together to make towns. The towns come together to make a region. And the regions come together to make up the whole country. So at the end of the day, it is the entire country that is celebrating the Independence Day. But the celebration is done by the little families, by the communities, the towns and the regions that reside in that country. If you look at the Thanksgiving festival in the United States, for instance, every family celebrates it in their own way. Sometimes you have various societies or communities coming together to celebrate. We have states coming to celebrate, and at the end of the day, it is a festival or a celebration that is characterized by the entire states of America. So it is a festival or a celebration for the United States of America. Okay, so moving on to slide 3. We want to look at what brought about the festival boom in Africa during the 20th century. Now, until the 20th century, African festivals were not very popular. But as time went on, and especially in the 20th century, if we talk about the 20th century, we mean the 1990s, festivals became very popular. And we want to look at some of the things that contributed to this popularity. Now, take note of this. If we talk about issues that made festivals popular, we are not talking about the importance of festivals, so don't mix the two. In exams, when you ask about issues that brought about or issues that brought about the festival boom in the 20th century, you get people writing all sorts of things about importance of festivals. So note the difference. Importance of festivals is totally different from factors that contributed to festivals becoming popular. Okay, so one factor that caused festivals to become popular in the 20th century is an emerging awareness about the cultural identity and Afrocentrism. So, because of colonialism, to some extent, we were almost losing our culture as Africans because our forefathers got colonized. They were taken away to the Western lands and we lost them. We were under the control of these Westerners for such a long time, and they pressurized and forced us to practice their culture, dress the way they do, eat the food they eat, and do things like they do, making us feel our culture is inferior. At a point, our people realized that no, we don't have to let this happen. We must rise up for our identity, and that is what brought about Afrocentrism. So because of this hype in Afrocentrism and cultural identity, the celebration of festivals became a key factor as a means of propagating and talking about our culture. So this awareness of African identity and Afrocentrism is a key factor that made festivals very popular, because we realized that festivals were one of the ways through which we could portray our culture and talk about our identity as Africans and our culture. Another factor is development in the tourist industry. So now tourism began to gain hypes in Africa, and we realized that one means or factor through which we can grow the tourism industry is through the celebration of festivals. So when there is a festival, the country or the town which is celebrating its festival get the opportunity to outdoor some of the peculiar things about that town or that community. When we did the homecoming celebration in 2019, it gave Ghanaians the opportunity to portray our culture, to talk about our things, our artifacts, and things that are peculiar to the Ghanaian identity. So tourist is one thing also that's helped to hype festival celebration in the 20th century. Another is the awareness about the economic and political and social benefits that are associated with festival celebration. So as time went on, our leaders, be it traditional and political leaders, began to realize that festivals were a good channel for political benefits, for economic benefits, and for social benefits. If we say economic, they realized that festivals were a way that businesses could come about and generate income for the state or for the town. The government spoke about the revenue that it gained from the homecoming celebration that we did in 2019 or so. It brought in a lot of income for Ghana. Likewise, in towns, when there is festival celebration, people get opportunities to do a lot of economic activities that brings income for them. So if you, the chief, you do not even celebrate the festivals, your township will come after you that let us do our festival, it brings us money, and you'll be forced to put arrangements together to do the festival. It also brings political gains in the sense that it gives the opportunity for leaders to interact with their members. It gives the opportunity for governments to interact with their members, and that is a good sign, as well as the social benefits. People coming together, family members who have traveled to very far places, who hardly come home. When it is festival time, everybody come home because it is a time for merrymaking. And this is a factor that hyped or caused festivals to become popular in the 20th century. Another is the advances in technology. Now, with the advances in technology, you can easily make adverts about a festival coming on and get a lot of people to hear about it, unlike before. Now we have the radio, we have the internet, we have social media. Social media recently came in, but it is also contributing largely to festival growth and celebration. So technology, that is how technology has also helped. Unlike before, there was no media, radio, there was no telephone. So if you want to celebrate a festival, it is just about you and your people who can hear about your drums. It is those in your circle who can hear about your drums and the announcements that you make, or the announcement that the gongon beater makes. But now you don't even rely on the drums anymore. You hear people going on radio and TV making jingles and adverts about festivals coming on. You see it on the social media. You go on the internet and the adverts and jingles are running on the internet. And so these have all come together to make festivals very popular. Now we try to look at the definitions of festival on slide 4. There are a lot of celebrations, as I mentioned earlier. We have funerals, we have weddings, we have naming ceremonies, we have birthday parties. What differentiates all these ceremonies from festival celebrations? And that is what we are going to look at. And to start with, we say that it is difficult to get a specific definition for festival, because by and whatever means it is also a celebration in itself anyway, just like all the others. So what makes festivals peculiarly different from all the other celebrations that I have mentioned? And we will do this by looking at the characteristics of festivals that makes it different from the others. So first of all, we say that festivals are temporal celebrations. Festivals are temporal. Festivals are not permanent. So for instance, we don't celebrate festival every month. We do not celebrate festival every year. It is not compulsory to celebrate festival every year like we do for Christmas and Easter. Easter is celebrated every year. Christmas is celebrated every year. But festivals don't come on every year. So festival celebrations are temporal. It doesn't, again, if we say they are temporal, it does not run through the whole year. We don't start celebrating Odra Festival in 1st January and end it in 31st December and say that the whole year we are celebrating Odra Festival. Odra Festival has a time. The chief and the traditional leaders set a particular time and say that between this date, 9th of February and 15th of February, we are going to celebrate Odra Festival. And once the date comes and 15th February comes, Odra Festival is over. That is the temporality of festival celebrations. Another characteristic is that festivals must have an artistic event attached to it, which is often combined with competitions. So what do we mean by artistic event? There should be a particular artifact that is attached to the festival. So if we look at Homowo Fair, for instance, if you talk about Homowo, you know Pokwe is going to represent. If we talk about Abuatre, you know the catching of the deer competition is going to represent. There cannot be Homowo without Pokwe. There cannot be Abuatre without catching of the deer. So these are specific artifacts that are associated to each of these festivals. And we say that for any event to be called a festival, there must be such an artistic event that is associated to it. Now, in our lesson, I want each class, or I want some of you to find out festivals that are celebrated in your places of origin, wherever you come from, and artistic events that are attached or associated to these festivals. We have festivals like the Yam Festival, and these festivals are characterized or connoted with yam. There cannot be Yam Festival without yam. All right. The third characteristic is that it must be a demonstration of the cultural spaces associated with that community. So we cannot have a festival and say that we are just there. we are having a festival, and when it is 15th February, our festival is over. No. Once it is said to be a festival, there must be a cultural display of the land from which the festival is coming from. So when it is Homowo, we see different styles of what is the name of the Ga dance? Different styles of the Ga dance going on. If we talk about a festival in the Ashanti region, you see different forms of Adowa going on. You see different forms of Kente weaving, different styles and displays of Kente, because that is the culture of the people. If Asantehene is having any festival, you see rich, authentic Kente at display, because that is a cultural identity of the Ashanti people, and that is a characteristic of every festival. Now, we also say that festivals are characterized by extreme liveliness. So people like the festival is a time for merrymaking. It is a time for sharing of joy. So families come together. You stop all the work you are doing and come together and share joy with each other. And it's a time for liveliness. It is a time for merrymaking and joy. The last characteristic of festival is that it's an opportunity for individuals to get away from everyday routine. So when there is a festival, all economic activities, traditional economic activities cease. People don't go to the farms anymore for the period. People don't go fishing for the period. Everybody will stop their work. Even those who have moved away from that particular town to other places will stop their work and travel back home for the festival celebration. So it gives you a break from your everyday routines. It gives you a break from your work schedules to come together to celebrate with your people. So putting all this together, Frederick says that a festival can be defined as the manifestation through which a society or a group of people makes plain its consciousness of its identity and their determination to preserve their identity. So with all the characteristics of festivals that we talked about, we say that he defines festivals as a means which people make other people know that we know our culture. They make people know about the consciousness of their identity. This is our identity. No matter the mixtures that we have. If you go to the United Kingdom or the United States, for instance, today being 6th March, you find a lot of Ghanaians dressed in their Ghanaian attire, dressed in Ghanaian t-shirts. Now, I have a church program coming up on Sunday, and because this is a 6th March, we are wearing traditional wear, traditional attire. Others are putting on beads. It is a way of making people know that we are conscious. This is our identity. We know it. And it is a way of preserving this identity. So for every year that we celebrate 6th March, that people in the diaspora wear their Ghanaian t-shirts, that we go to church, our international churches in our kaba and cloth, that we do all that we do to signify 6th March, we are preserving our identity as Ghanaians. For every time that the Abuatri festival is celebrated, that we go to the bush, our young men go to the bush to chase and catch the deer, we are preserving our identity. For every time that Homowa is celebrated, that we prepare popoi and walk through the streets of Accra and sprinkle the popoi on the Accra land, we are making people know that this is the Ga land, this is our culture, and we are preserving our culture. So that is the definition of festivals. Now, how did festivals come about in the first place? We are on slide 6. So we say that festivals are ancient celebrations in most parts of the world. So not only in Africa, but festivals are celebrated in other places like the South American, like the India, Egypt, Greece, we have some Rome, and of course in Africa. So in every part of the world, each one has their festival that they celebrate, their festival that they enjoy, for which they used to preserve their culture. And we say that these festivals are celebrated as a form of social occasion, be it religious in nature and related elements. So we celebrate festivals. All these different countries or societies I have mentioned celebrate festivals as a form of social occasions. Now, modern festivals are characterized by education, by science, by travel. So unlike before, in the olden days, when it is festival time, we only come together as a people, we do all the cultural things we do, we cook, we eat, we make merry, and it is over. Now we are advancing. When it is festival celebration time, we use it as an opportunity for educating people. We educate them about our culture. We educate about the importance of celebrating the festival, importance of preserving the culture, and even use it as an opportunity of educating people for the importance of upholding certain good attributes or character in the society. It's an opportunity for display of science. So in Ghana, for instance, today being Independence Day, during our celebrations, we could have, had it not been COVID, there could have been a display of some of the scientific innovations that has come up from Ghana, and so on. Another characteristic of modern festival is culture, is travel. Now people have gone very far from where they come from. So when they want to go home for festival, it involves a lot of travel. And now, as I mentioned earlier, because of technology and popularity of festivals, now you get people who don't even come from that particular land, but they want to go and witness the festival that is going on. So they travel from very far places to come to where the festival is being celebrated, to be able to witness this festival. Okay, so on slide 7, we want to look at some of the elements of festival. Festival is made up of fun and merrymaking. Festival is not a time for weeping. Festival is not a time for accusations or bringing people's errors to them. It is a time that we have slated for merrymaking. It takes place around a particular theme. So for every festival, there is a theme that surrounds that festival. Unlike even now, you realize that when they are making adverts for a festival, they mention the particular theme for which that festival is being made, is being celebrated. And they make that theme very specific. And so all the celebration of that festival is around that theme. Festivals take place at a specially designated time. So as I explained before, you don't just rise one morning and say that today you want to make a festival. You plan for it by specifying the particular time of the year which you want that festival to be celebrated. It may be combined based on review. So, for instance, there may be several festivals that must have been celebrated in a particular town, but for one reason or the other, they could not celebrate it. Based on the decision of the traditional leaders, they can decide that we want to celebrate all these festivals together at the same time. Festivals forms part of a cultural heritage. So Homowa is a cultural heritage of the Ga people. If it is time for Homowa and they ban noise making in the particular areas, They are very strict about it because that is their heritage. You realize that at those times they go around saying, this is the Ghana land, this is our tradition, and we expect everybody to obey it. It is their heritage, it is a cultural heritage, and it is strictly adhered to during the festival celebration. And another element of festival is that it strengthens human relations and consolidates societies. So when it is festival celebration, it gives opportunities for people to come around. Cousins that don't know each other get to know each other. Families come together, they bond and strengthen their relationships. It brings communities together and it strengthens the communities. We move on to slide 8 to look at the classifications of African festivals. African festivals can be classified into harvest festivals, commemorative festivals, and religious festivals. Now, if we talk about harvest festivals, they are primarily associated to agricultural occupation, during which the participating members of a community sacrifice part of their first produce and other crops from their lands to their creator. So for agricultural festivals, it is about your farm produce, the produce that has come from your land, either farm or fisheries, to your creator as a form of thanksgiving. So agricultural festivals are usually about farming. And the motive behind these festivals are to honor and thank the gods for a good harvest, for the good rains, and to also use this as an opportunity to ask them for help and protection in the coming farming year. It provides ritual clearance for traditional rulers and their people to eat of the new crop. So I know that for the yam festival, for instance, until the festival is done, no one from the town is supposed to eat any of the new harvest. You can only eat after the festival is done, after the crops have been dedicated to the gods and the rituals have been done to cleanse it for eating. It's also an opportunity to exhibit the new crop or farm produce of that land. So during the yam festivals, all visitors coming know that there is going to be a large display or good display of beautiful large tubers of yam. So if anybody wants to buy it, it's an opportunity for you to go there to get some for yourself. And the examples of harvest festivals are Homowo, because we use the corn for the Kpokoi. Sonjo Festival in Tanzania. We have the Agungu Festival, Fishing Festival in Nigeria. These are all examples of harvest or agricultural festivals. On slide 10, we go on to look at commemorative festivals, and we say that these are festivals with the aim of honoring the memory of the dead and giving offering to the gods and ancestors for their care, well-being, and protection towards the community members. So commemorative festival, unlike agricultural festival, is a festival that is used to honor the dead. You know, in Africa, we hold very dear, especially the old age people who die. We honor them as our ancestors. So we use this commemorative festival to remember them, to honor them, and to pray their help and their protection in the coming year. And it is characterized by music, dance, drama, recitals, and tribal history in honor of the dead. So during this time, you get people talking about the history of people who fought with their blood to get the communities for them. In Ghana, around this time, you hear a lot of people talking about the Big Six, talking about the Nkrumahs, and all those great men and women who fought for the independence of Ghana. An example of this is the Hogbechocho Festival and the Odra Festival. Now we move on to slide 13 to look at religious festivals. And we say that religious festivals are special festivals which are celebrated annually in honor of a specific god and ancestral spirit. So unlike the commemorative festival that is in honor of ancestors who are dead, ancestors are members, people who were like us, who have died and gone. Religious festivals are for gods. They are festivals that are celebrated in honor of particular gods. And these festivals involve merrymaking and festive activities around the gods and the spirits. It is climaxed with ritual cleansing of the people of the land. So you petition this particular god for whom you are celebrating the festival to protect the people and give you whatever blessings they have for you as a people whom they worship. Traditional leaders use the occasion to petition for their members' needs. They petition for protection, they petition for blessings and unity, among others. So during these festivals, you get your leaders, the fetish priests and the traditional leaders coming together, consulting these gods to protect their land and to give them good harvest, good blessings and protections in the coming year. Examples of these are the festivals of Mask of Ivory Coast and the Thanksgiving Festival in Malawi. Okay, so on slide 12 we move on to look at the importance of festivals, and we can classify them into economic benefits, social benefits, and then we can also talk about political benefits. So when we talk about economic benefits of festivals, we say that festivals provide opportunities to attract sponsorships from organizations and companies. So when a town is celebrating festivals, they get the opportunity to get sponsorship from companies. So one company will say that, okay, for your festival celebration, I'll provide you with water. Another company will say, I'll provide you with this. Another company will say, we'll give you this amount of money. So it gives the town which is celebrating the festival the opportunity to get all these forms of sponsorships from the organizations. Another economic benefit of festival is the creation of specialized units and committees for the organization of the festival, which serve as a source of employment for the people. So as I said earlier, when there is festival coming up, we don't just rise up one morning and say we are coming to celebrate our festival. It involves planning, and through the planning you set up various committees, and of course the committees will be made up of people of the town where the celebration is coming up. And for these people, even if they will not be paid for the work they are doing, they'll be given some form of allowances or motivation as a motivation for the dedication of their time towards the planning of the festival. So these small units or committees are set up, and it serves as a source of employment for the people in the land. It also generates income through media publicity and adverts. So when a festival is coming up, people are contracted to make posters, you make jingles, you make TV adverts, you make radio adverts, and these are all sources of income for the companies and for the people as well. And then it also brings some gains to the tourism industry. If you go to Ebri, you can talk about their wood carvings during festivals. It is beautifully displayed, and it tells about the cultural identity of the people in the form of tourist attraction. On slide 13, we look at the social benefits of festivals, and we say that it creates opportunities for settling of disputes. So because during festival celebrations, families come together So for these families, if anyone has any problem with any member of the family member, if family members have any disputes amongst them, this is an opportunity for them to come together, sit down, and try to trash out issues and settle the dispute amongst them. It creates opportunities for family gatherings and deliberations. Apart from settling of disputes, families can come together because they have all traveled and come to their town for the festival celebration. It is an opportunity for them to discuss how they want the family to go, discuss peculiar issues about the family, and it also binds family together because during festivals it is a time for merrymaking. So we cook together, we sit together and eat as a family. On slide 15, we look at the political benefits of festivals, and we say that authorities and rulers begin to take responsibility of the development of the society. Why do we say this? Now, because traditional leaders know that our festival celebration must come on, and when it comes on, our members or our township, our town people are going to come from near and far. If we don't do development in the community, when they come, they will see what is going on and they will question us. And because they also may want to create a good image for themselves, once a festival is coming up, you see leaders trying to put up developmental projects to lift up the image of the community or the society. It also serves as grounds for both national and traditional political discussions and celebrations. So now, when people have issues with their chiefs and their traditional leaders, the festival period is a good time to sit and discuss and talk about issues with their chiefs and their leaders. And then lastly, it enhances family gatherings and discussions for progress. So as I have said earlier, families are able to come together to make discussions and deliberations that can foster the development of the family. In conclusion, we say that festivals have gained immense popularity in recent times due to the scientific evidence on its role in national development. So we say festivals, apart from all the benefits that comes along with it, there is scientific proof. If we say scientific proof, we want to talk about research, scientific research that has shown that indeed festivals are very important in national development, and this makes it an important element in building of cities and nations. Therefore, festivals have become important elements, and it is used as a source of development in underdeveloped societies and communities. So communities that have been stagnant, that have not seen growth, try to adopt and use festivals as a strategy to grow and to develop their cities, their towns, their regions, and the nation as a whole. This brings us to the end of the lecture on festivals and culture. So listen to the lecture, jot down your questions, your contributions and discussions, and when we meet on our Zoom on the scheduled time, we will talk about it. Thank you and have a good time.